Plenty of liberals also want to abuse history to control the present.
That's Bill Maher from Friday talking about the rewriting of history. Rarely has a case of rewriting history been so blatant as Netflix's new movie about Marilyn Monroe that comes out later this month. The producers turn Monroe's affair with JFK into a rape scene. There is no record of JFK raping her, no accusation even that it ever happened. Yet this is how Netflix portrays JFK. Full disclosure, he's a personal hero of mine. I am sure the same is true for many of you. There is a reason, perhaps, to rewrite history, although we can't figure it out. Joining us now, founder and president of District Media, Beverly Hallberg. I don't get it. Why slander the former president when there are legitimate accusations that people, not the former president, raped Marilyn Monroe?
I think this is a lot about shock value and getting us to talk about it like we are now. It's not just this rape scene. There are abortion scenes, and it's all gratuitous. The point of all of this is to shock people. And I think that's what they were really getting at. And we're used to, in these types of historical figures being depicted in film, we're used to them taking liberties. But these types of liberties are an extreme for the exact reasons that you just laid out there. And while there is an actual allegation against JFK as far as forcing himself on an intern. It's unproven. That is not something that people have said for sure happened. There is nothing whatsoever with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, no, in fact, just the opposite. It was always heard and reported as a consensual relationship. The accusation against JFK was in a book, and even the intern who wrote the book much later in life said, I never saw it as rape. The movie itself, which I don't understand why you would need to dramatize Marilyn Monroe, because the story itself is such an incredible one. Look at the trailer.
How'd you get your start?
Maybe. What start?
In movies.
Quite continental. But diamonds are a girl's best friend. I guess I was discovered.
You don't need to dramatize it. The truth is enough, I think. And then there's been this sort of incredible fawning over Ana de Armas, who's the actress in it, about this. Again, why?
Here's what I've wondered. I actually liken this movie to what we saw with Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, which is taking a story, now that of course is fiction, but trying to make it as dark, as mentally unhealthy as possible, just for ticket sales, for the shock value alone. This seems to be the trend of Hollywood, to really depict very dark angles of different stories. And I think this fits into it. And here's my concern with it as well, beyond the fact that it is slandering somebody when there is no proof. You have that side. I actually think it's very disturbing to women who have experienced sexual abuse. What are these women supposed to think and feel when they see this, when it's depicted in such horrific ways based on the descriptions of this film? And I also think it does a disservice to what we should hope for any type of sexual allegation, that there is due process for the person being accused. This is accusing somebody falsely, putting it in film, and actually making money off of it, to the detriment of a historical figure as well known as a beloved president.
Yeah, so the director here, Andrew Dominic, only $22 million. So if it does well, it's going to be a huge success for Netflix. It's a demanding movie. If the audience doesn't like it, that's not the effing audience's problem. It's not running for public office. That's the audience's problem. Man, if I don't understand what the idea of Netflix is here. If I'm Netflix, I spend $22 million on a movie, I want people to watch it and like it. That's why they sign up for Netflix.
It sounds like there is some egotism with this director, and I think it's interesting. He's depicting a woman in this way with her abortions, also with an alleged rape scene that he thinks may have happened, and yet it's a man depicting this. And I think there's going to be a reason why women watch this and probably recoil. I even think it's interesting how abortions are shown in this. You have the CGI talking of her aborted children. Now, as somebody myself who is pro-life, I do think it points to the horrors of abortion, but I also think about many women who felt pressured into having abortions, probably struggle with that decision, and watching this movie is going to be detrimental to them.
Yeah, you think about it, September 28th, you're less than 6 weeks from the midterms where abortion has become one of the pivotal issues. Hey, Beverly, I think there's probably more we're going to learn about this movie over the next couple of weeks. They keep leaking all this stuff. It's kind of wild. And Ana de Armas is now a favorite of certain television shows to talk about her experience. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.